It was June when he left for the west. This long ride would be his biggest test. His girl said, come on back when you can. You know I'm gonna miss my mountain man. So his white horse to Dawson he rides. Nobody there by his side. For weeks now he's been on the road, and this Northland is chilly and cold. Good night, Joe. Thanks for the support. Got one up on you, Gary. I bet you ain't never had a campfire in the Yukon before. This is my planned route tomorrow. I am, let's see, right here, Watson Lake. Be going down 37. And, right here is where I'll pick up cell coverage again. Then I'll be going over this way to, Prince George, where I may get my oil changed there, and then on over into the Canadian Rockies. But that's going to be a long ride. Before Fort Smith is here, and I came up this way. So this will be the western route. That's the plan. We'll see how it works out. Getting kind of late up here in the Yukon. Getting ready to go to bed. Wind's blowing. Not a Gary fire, but it keeps the skeeters away.
Yeah, west coast of Norway.
You're from the west coast of Norway.
Yeah.
Are you lost? How did you get here?
No, I always, since I read a book of Jack London when I was 15 years old, I say I have to go to Alaska and Yukon. And that has been 50 years dream coming true. So that's very nice. I have to come back someday if my health is okay.
You like it in Alaska, huh?
Yeah.
Beautiful up there, isn't it?
Yeah, and the gold history, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, the gold rush. Very nice.
Yeah. And what is your name, sir?
Tor.
To what?
T-O-R-E.
Okay.
Like the Viking god.
Okay. Well, you meet everybody on the road.
Oh yeah.
Tell me that again. How long can you work a year?
Well, 8 months on some jobs, but it could be 12.
But most time 4?
No, most time 8 months of the year.
Oh, okay.
4 months off.
4 months off. Okay.
That's the winter time. Who wants to work in the winter? Out here. It'd be cold.
Best way to make a living, eh?
Well, it's somebody's got to do it. Like say in Alberta, the wind blows all the time, and it's 30, 40 below, and then there's wind. It's like 50, almost 60 below with the wind. It's not fun being outside.
I'm sure.
It must be Alaska. Okay. Hey, my friend.
Where are you from?
I'm from Spain.
From Spain?
Yeah.
You're a long way from home.
Yeah, here we are. Birds are going to attack the drone. I leave this here. I will do like a drive-through.
Okay.
I'm from Fayetteville, Georgia.
Fayetteville, Georgia.
Yep, just south of Atlanta there.
Okay. And
I'm
you're,
from Greenwood, South Carolina.
so here we are in Montana.
Yep.
Looking at that.
All Southern boys.
Yeah. It's pretty out here, ain't it? Yes, sir.
It's around green.
Not around Chattanooga either.
Estimates are roughly 150 ton of bison bones were taken out of this site to use for fertilizer and also for making bombs during World War II. So a lot of that history as they're excavating these bones out are lost through that process. Also talking with some of the older generations that, that lived here, that grew up at this place, they remember being able to walk the cliffs and, find arrow points and just being able to put them in their pockets. And he knew a friend of his who had a small little museum way back when, who had buckets full of arrow points that he had taken out of this site. But luckily now the site is protected, so it is illegal to remove any of these artifacts. We had a few archaeological digs that took place here, mostly done through MSU and Bozeman. And some of the points that they found are over in the display case on the counter there. But those excavations only went down about 8 feet or so. They do believe that the bone layer below our cliffs goes down 18 feet. So there's still a lot of history that lies below these cliffs. So when you think about that, all the erosion that takes place, that bone layer that's built up, this junk was probably used for thousands of years, and the cliffs were probably a lot taller when they were used. So as some of you may know, this is a rich valley for the most part. We have the Missouri River that runs along the interstate, and then the Sun and Smith River that run. So there was pretty much always bison found in this area. But also a reason why this junk was so heavily used is because there are 3 natural springs on this property that hold water all year round. So they had easy access to water for processing after the hunt. We also know through talking with the tribes and their oral histories that 14 different tribes use this junk. So of course the Blackfeet, all 4 bands of the Blackfoot Confederacy use this junk. But we have oral histories where the Salish, Shoshone, Nez Perce would cross the Rocky Mountains to use this site. The Crow would come up, the Cheyenne, the Sioux. So a lot of history through a lot of different tribes that we find in Montana. And other states, Washington, Idaho, Wyoming. Sure, I don't know if the Dakotas ever came over. They're more farmers types. But they still needed the buffalo too. So using these communal hunts was a way to get these huge animals on while they're on foot. Once they got the horses, they didn't need sites like this. They didn't need to do the mass kills. So even though some of these tribes, if they show up to this site at the same time, if they're feuding, they would actually set aside differences to work together because it took such a large number of people to pull this off. And plus, this is a very sacred site to them. Just like the buffalo is a very sacred animal, it was, important to respect that, so they didn't have any wars here in this area.
Entry tour, if you're going that way, it's easy to find right off of I-90, right next to the airport. But in 1949, smoke jumpers weren't on standby like they are now, ready to scramble at a moment's notice. So when the call came in, they had to round up the smoke jumpers from their work details. And it took a while to get that accomplished. It would be 5 p.m. when a plane would be circling the head of this drainage with Wagner Dodge, the foreman. They would jump the fire. He did a quick size up. He determined the best way to fight the fire would be to bring the men down through the bottom of the drainage, get to the river's edge, and then through the course of the evening, with the river behind them as an escape route, they would turn and then fight the fire, work towards the fire on the ridge above them. It was a great plan, but unfortunately, unbeknownst to them, as they hiked down through the drainage, The winds were changing that evening, picking up intensity. And it began to fan the small spot fires and soon blew them into one huge firestorm. And the Forest Service study revealed that when the fire blew up, this firestorm swept through this drainage, it would burn some 3,000 acres in approximately 10 minutes. These men were about a quarter of a mile from the river's edge when they saw this wall of fire screaming towards them, being blown by the winds and burning uphill. And Dodge, there's no way they could get through the fire to the river or around it. Dodge turned his men around and they retreated back up through the drainage. Real quickly he realized this fire is coming awfully fast, and he would order his men, drop your heavy tools, men, pick up your pace, get to the ridge, to the rocks, to safety. Can you imagine what went through their minds? On a 10 o'clock fire, so they thought, and then all of a sudden their foreman hollers, drop your tools and head for the ridge. Up that steep slope they ran, just around the bend out of our view, but like you see right here in front of us, some 76% slope, loose rock, slippery grass. 97 degrees was the temperature at the Helena Airport that afternoon. And they're trying to outrun a fire that's being pushed by strong winds and dry conditions. Up that steep slope they run. Dodge realized real quickly, we're not going to make it. Out of desperation, he drops to the ground, and on that grassy, steep slope, he struck a match and started a fire. The winds blew the fire right up the side of the mountain, blackening the grass, and he crawled into the blackened area. We know what he was doing now. As a result of this fire, into the black, out of the green is standard training. But they didn't have that knowledge base in 1949. And when Dodge lit that fire, they were wondering, what the heck is this guy doing? We're trying to outrun a fire. He's building another one. They kept racing up the slope. Dodge crawled into the blackened area, covered up with his jump jacket, and survived the Man Gulch incident without a blister. Two young rookie smoke jumpers, their first live fire ever, they raced up this steep slope, got to the rocks to the ridge just in time. In their written report, they said the fire was licking our heels as we scrambled into the rocks.
Fire, I'd seen bigger, so I ordered them to side hill and we'd fight it from below.
Stay by her, please.
We'd have our back to the river. We'd have it late by morning, even if we took it slow. But the fire crowd jumped the valley just ahead. There was no way down, headed for the ridge instead. Too big to fight it, we'd have to fight that slope instead. Flames one step behind above the cold Missouri water. The sky had turned red, smoke was boiling. 200 yards to safety, death was 50 yards behind. I don't know why, I just thought it. I struck a match to waist-high grass, running out of time. Tried to tell them, step into this fire. I said, we can't make it, this is the only chance you'll get. But they cursed me, ran for the rocks above instead. I lay face down and prayed